What's up, everybody? It's your favorite retools, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Hasbro's Generations Chromia. And I like her, but she's got far more issues than RC, and we'll talk about those. But for right now, let's start with the accessory. She comes with this rifle, or whatever, this blaster, and it's a single mold, nothing to it, black, flat black plastic. So, taking a look at her, This backpack of hers is a mess. Now, it does have a few options. So in order to get it the smallest and most compact, you need to have the skirt all the way down. But then you're really limited in what you can do articulation leg-wise. That's my dog. My stupid one. And the other option is if you angle this back, you know, you got to angle it fairly far in order to get what you want. But if you angle it back, now it sticks out a little further, but you can get the leg articulation. Your other option, fold this up, fold that down, fold that back, but now that sticks out way far, and then there's nothing here, and it just, I think this looks worse. It's not hateful in comparison, but I don't think that's the way to go about it. But then you have full articulation of the legs, no problem. So those are your options. Figure wise, I gotta say the breakup in color is pretty nice between the white, the light blue, the red, and the regular blue with the translucent plastic down there, and like there's a lot of just interesting aesthetics going on there. Like, it's very cool. One of those toys that is hard to get into a bad pose. Now the paint does have some issues. My white is chipping there, and the blue is chipped on her nose a little bit, but you know, overall pretty good job. Articulation wise, the head is on a ball peg, but the ball joint is down in the neck as opposed to the head, so you get pretty good range of motion with the exception of her back or her head, but that's pretty nice. Shoulders are on ball joints. Now they are hindered by this piece of plastic there for the design, and then sometimes this outer lip here will jut up against the back there and limit you. So not a huge deal, but just pointing it out. No bicep swivel, but you do get a swivel at the ball joint and the elbow, which also gets you maybe a little bit more than 90 degrees. Wrist is on a ball joint also, so the swivel is included. And the nice thing is you can bend it up this way, which, you know, that's ridiculous. But just that, you know, it just adds so much more character to her. These bits here on the back also for transformation, they articulate, so you can have them either out or closer, you know, depending on your sensibilities. Ball joints, T-jointed ball joints for hips with a thigh swivel built in, knee hinge, and that's it. And that's her. She, unlike RC, holds her weapon much better, much more natural, nowhere near as forced, much better job. I always liked the Prime RC mold. My daughter has her. I find myself like transforming her a lot, like if I'm in her room. So I'm happy to have a retooling of the mold. It's not as well engineered as RC's, but it's still pretty good from the Transformers Prime line for those keeping track. So I guess let's get her transformed. I like to start with the legs. Fold the wheels out, hinge the foot back. Wheels out, foot back. Then you can put these together, line up the grooves of the tire, and everything else should fall into place for you. There you go. Now, I wish there was a peg in there to keep that nice and tight, but there's something that holds it later on, but we'll take a look at that when that comes. So, windshield up, this out, bring down the hips, which automatically brings the chest piece in, and then you can fold that in. Arms, you want them to go straight back with pinky finger up. And you want this to be just up underneath there. And then you fold that bit of business down on top, keeping that all in place. Fold the legs up, and then make sure you insert those. Let's see if I say that, and then I'm not going to be able to do it. In there. And that's that. Bring this bit of business down here. Open these up so that they can grab on. This is a really tight hinge right there, but it looks like a pretty reinforced piece of plastic, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then they peg in, I'm not sure if you can see it, they peg in right there. Holding that nice and tight like a tiger. Snap that down. Bring this whole assembly up. Spin the tire. And voila. Now I like, I don't know if I like I think I like the tire out a little bit. Yeah, there's a kickstand too, so. I think I like the tire jutting out a little bit, but I think you're supposed to have it all the way up in there, like a little itty bitty bike. Which is cool too. It reminds me of, actually, hold on. This is one of the old mask inserts that came in. It reminds me of this bike here. I have it. I can't put my fingers on it right now, but yeah, I like it. But I think I'm telling you, I mean, you do what you want. But I think I kind of like that. I think I kind of like that look a little bit better. Real quick, I forgot to show this. You can take the gun and plug it in there if you like. So you have that as well. Rolls just fine. Size comparison wise, there she is next to RC, and there she is next to Drift. Hopefully that'll give you some sort of an idea. So final thoughts, she's cool. I'm glad I have a representation of this mold. I've always wanted one, so I'll probably end up keeping her, even with her problems. One of my big disappointments is that I love the transformation of that Prime RC, how the hands kind of form the engine block. Like, I just thought that was so well thought out. And there was none of those like little magical moments with this piece. This piece, it's like RC. It's cool. It's there's just this monstrous thing hanging off her back, like the biggest tumor known to man. When you try to compact that tumor, it ends up creating other issues with trying to get her posed well. But outside of her, there's a lot of action figure elements that really work well for this toy. There's a lot of fun in the transformation. There's a lot of paint work that really breaks up and makes it interesting to look at. And I know that, like, her character is kind of a niche thing. If you're into the comics or remember her from G1 or she has a place for you, then that's awesome. Trying to explain stuff like this to people who aren't in the know, it's difficult. Like I was talking to my dad recently about toys, and well, just looking at some of the stuff I got for Christmas, it's pretty good stuff. I'm a sucker for well-placed ratcheted universal joints and a really smart use of a ball joint and, multiple paint applications, even if they're tampered.
Bob, I haven't the slightest idea what you're talking about.
But yeah, if you're a chug collector or you're a fan of the comics or you like the Prime RC mold, this is definitely a good pickup. For 15 bucks, you're going to be happy. It's not a bad figure. This is another pretty quality, solid figure from Hasbro. I mean, hey, I like it. I mean, it's not going to go on my proper shelf because it just doesn't look right amongst the more collector-oriented lines, but I'm not going to get rid of her. I like her. I like just knowing I have a representation of the mold. So, with that being said, we'll get out of here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.